Ruth Jones.
Thank you, President. And it's a real honour to speak in this debate on the King's speech today, and also to follow the Honourable Lady opposite for Staffordshire and Moreland, and I thank her for her thoughtful and considered speech today. And I'd like to commend the 3 new members on their maiden speeches today. Each individual, but each very definitely different and heartfelt and completely appropriate. So well done to all of them. And the good news is they have now achieved it and they've got it out the way so they can get on with the rest of the job. But it's also a real privilege to speak as the first Member of Parliament for the new constituency of Newport West and Islwyn. And as I said in my acceptance speech on the 4th of July, it is an honour to represent the constituents of this new constituency, which includes the former seat of Lord Neil Kinnock, Don Tewig, and of course my immediate predecessor, the late great Paul Flynn. And I'm very pleased that our new Labour Prime Minister has set out so clearly that this government is here to serve the country and not be self-centred or self-serving. We in this House are public servants and we should do all we can to make sure that we represent the people that voted for us, but also those that didn't, to ensure their voices are heard in this place of power, and we must work to ensure the best outcomes for all of them. This King's speech is full of details of legislation to be laid in the coming months, and I am excited to see it unfold, and we can start to make a difference to people's lives in Newport West and Islwyn, across Wales and the rest of the UK. Now, as a former trade union officer, I'm so glad to see the new deal for working people will be brought forward to ban exploitative practices and to enhance employment rights. We need to end the terrible practice of fire and rehire quickly and the use of zero-hour contracts. It's so important that people are paid fairly and that work is rewarded. But we also need a safety net for those that are not able to work, who need support, sometimes for a short while, others need longer-term support. Legislation to reform rail franchising will be most welcome, especially people like me who travel on the trains on a weekly basis. We need to ensure there is fair investment across the rail network and that passengers get a fair deal on tickets and get to their destinations in comfort and on time. And I look forward to the establishment of Great British Railways in due course. I'm also looking forward to the introduction of Great British Energy, a publicly owned clean power company, which will be based in Scotland. I have to say gently to the government, I'm sure we could have had it based in Wales, but I will leave that debate for another day. I also welcome the measures to strengthen community policing, deal more effectively with antisocial behaviour and improve victim support. And I've worked with a number of women in my constituency who have suffered domestic abuse for many, many years. And I want to make sure the police learn from their stories and make sure any potential victims in the future have their issues addressed and their lives made safer as quickly as possible. Another area I'm pleased to see included in the bill is to progressively increase the age at which people can buy cigarettes and also, most importantly, impose limits on the sale and marketing of vapes. Yeah. As a former physiotherapist, like my colleague from York Central, I'm extremely concerned that people across the UK are still dying from cigarette-related conditions. And I have treated patients who had irreversible changes to their lungs and other conditions directly due to smoking. The evidence between nicotine and poor health and premature death has been very clear for many years now. But we also know that the longitudinal evidence on vaping has not been undertaken fully yet, and we need to be cautious about the use of vapes, in particular the easy way children and young people are able to obtain them. The addictive nature of vapes is well known, and I've spoken to local school teachers who are finding pupils are having to leave lessons or even exams to vape. This is so disruptive to the individual pupil and the whole class, and it would be good to ensure safety and limit the access to vapes. This legislation can't come soon enough. I must also mention the plans to reform the House of Lords, as my predecessor Paul Flynn spent many years calling for this, and he would be delighted to hear this news and would immediately start asking when. He would be gratified, though, to hear the abolition of hereditary peers will be achieved within the first term of this Parliament. I look forward to learning more about these constitutional reforms and how the other place will continue to be a chamber to scrutinise the work of this chamber, because it's very important. This role has been so vital in recent months and years, as we witnessed in the last Parliament. But it would be remiss of me not to mention some areas that were not mentioned in His Majesty's speech. As the Honourable Member for Herne Bay and Sandwich, who's no longer in his place... Oh, no, sorry, he is in his place. I do apologise. Many members of this House are very well aware of the importance of animal welfare. I have hundreds of emails on this vital topic every month, and I must admit I was disappointed not to read of any animal welfare legislation, such as the banning of hunting trophies or puppy smuggling, the introduction of a kept animals bill, and the tightening up of the rules around trail hunting in the King's speech this morning. I do need to gently ask my colleagues on the front bench to make sure that these important pieces of legislation are brought forward in this Parliament. And I'm happy to be reassured that not everything makes the final cut of His Majesty's speech. But, Sir Edward, you can rely on me to speak out on animal welfare because the animals can't. Sir Edward, there are so many aspects of this King's speech that I would like to commend, but I'm very conscious of others wanting to speak. So I will draw my comments to a close and end by confirming my support for the planned legislation and would urge my colleagues on the front bench to begin their work straight away, to bring hope to people across the UK and make this country a place fit for the 21st century, safe and prosperous, and where people are proud to live and raise their families.
Very good.